Hello again and welcome to another episode of the TryPod NRL betting podcast, and this week we shall preview round 18.
There you go.
There you go. Well, that pretty much sums up our last weekend, or especially a few of the games.
Man,
absolute
the Tigers are killing us every single week. It's absolute guff to us.
Yeah, I don't know why we keep going back to the well.
And that's what everyone's asking. And like, when the well dries up, you've got to know,
Yeah.
and you've got to stop going to that well. But we did get unlucky again. We weren't to know that Luke Brooks would get scratched, the day before the game. And even then, they were up 16-12.
Yep,
and you'd
at
like to
half-time.
think, how many points were we catching in that game?
We were catching 4.5, even though the line closed, 7.5 or something like that.
Yeah, so we're on the wrong side.
When you're up 4 at half-time, that bet is a clear favourite to win, plus 4.5.
And we had the Eels under 24.5, and they were only on 12 with about 15 to go.
Yep,
So-
exactly. But that sums up our life, really.
Yeah.
Really good tip on the Cowboys.
Yeah,
we
they got
had
us. We were 3-0.
3-0 going into our last 3 bets of the week, and then we just got bloody unlucky, in my opinion.
Even Manly, we had them under 24.5, and they were only, it was less than about 5 minutes to go, and they were on 22, and they really didn't need to score again. And you're thinking, they're up 12, the field goal's in play, they're taking a penalties in play, just completing your sets.
Yeah, well, it was 10-4 at half time. And then from then on, you're a favourite to win that bet when you've got under 24.5. And obviously it looked like it was going to grind out from there, but then, bam, they're at 22-4. And then it was basically, we still had a chance at that point, but then, it wasn't to be.
Yeah, now the number of bets we've lost when we've been the favourite, but anyway,
yeah, absolutely.
That's guff to us. And, you know what else was guff? Was the Blues last night, mate.
Yeah, the Blues were absolutely woeful, but up the Queenslander.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. I was lucky enough to be one of the 52,000 people. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I was thinking about it, 52 points for 52,000 people. It was
56.
It was stunning. I think the final score 52-6.
Yep.
And JT was just a magician. The whole game, just controlling it. We just had too much class. I had my concerns that New South Wales forwards probably in better form at this point in their career. They had explosive outside backs. But I always felt confident. I was speaking to people before the game saying, look, I think you just got to play Queensland here at home with Cooper Cronk back, JT. They're too good. It's a historically great team.
And the fact, we were talking about this earlier, we were talking about this during the week, and I mean, Queensland was these odds in Sydney.
Yeah, that's right.
And then obviously, New South Wales came up in game 2 and, blew us out of the park in the second half. But you look at that, you're getting similar odds to the game 1 where it's in Sydney. You have to play Queensland as a value side, and even sharp money just before kickoff was still coming for New South Wales. So
and people have short memories, and people are thinking back to game 2 where New South Wales played really at their best. We didn't have Cooper Cronk, and people kind of thinking, it's going to be a 50-50 game, and they're kind of forgetting about home field advantage. But home field advantage is a real thing. Queensland is another beast entirely when they're playing in a packed Suncorp Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were just immense on both sides of the ball, just that kind of pressure was just unbelievable.
We heard the commentators talking about it, and they reckon at Suncorp it's a really, really dry track. And obviously Queensland does have the better playmakers, so we were able to obviously, spread it out and get a few points on the board. But I don't know how you felt watching it live, but just from the very first set, Queensland was aiming up in D, and New South Wales wasn't making more than 30 metres a set, and they did that for basically the entire game.
And that's good advice for everyone, that when it is a dry track, it's always best to spread it out and aim up on D if you can. Mate, what do we always say?
We got to give the people...
What do we give them, though?
Give the people...
what they want. And we know people, need the pod, love the pod. We couldn't do it last night because I was at the game, so we're actually sitting in your car.
But now we've got some excellent plays for you after Origin.
We do. So it's lunchtime on a Thursday. We're taking time out of our busy day to meet up and give the people what they want.
We try and do that.
And it's going to be a short, sharp pod. Short and sweet, unlike both are.
True.
And just before we get into the games, and it's a slightly shorter round, mate, it was your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
How
I'm
was
old.
it?
I feel old now.
Yeah, you are pretty old.
I'm 26.
Yeah. Things don't get any better, that's for sure.
That was on the Sunday. Went down the coast to Burleigh. Had a lovely time. Didn't have to see all you fools.
Yeah,
so
thanks for the invite, bro.
Wonderful. Yeah, good to get away from you clowns for a weekend.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice to get invited to something once in a while, whether it be, my mate's birthday or, a few mates catching up for dinner.
Yeah, no,
That'd be nice,
I'd love
but,
that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess racism is still prevalent.
It is, and
As we saw with
that's
Dawn
something that
Fraser.
we need to stand against. Yeah, and shame on Dawn Fraser, and shame on some people out there that didn't extend an invite to, their coloured brethren, supposed mates.
Oh, mate, well, you can complain a little, but, I mean, you're still getting invited to weddings, etc.
Yeah, that's
I'm just
true.
Getting,
Holly's wedding should be
totally
really good.
shafted.
Holly's
so.
wedding should be good. But look, we can't say all white people are like that.
No.
Great friend of the pod, Ev Sanity, of course. Yep. He's also our producer. He's kind of the brains behind the operation, does a lot of work behind the scenes, helps us out in a lot of ways.
Yep.
He's started his own Facebook page. We, implore you to check that out. He's got some awesome mixes on there.
Yep.
Good for a workout. So
he's
me and
versatile,
him, we came together and we appreciate you. I know not many people do. But we do, and we've actually gotten you a birthday present. I'm going to give it to you live on the pod, and you can react to it. So I've snuck it under my wing here.
This is fucking gonna be...
Now, mate, we know that you love black t-shirts.
That is an absolute vinger.
I'm presenting you with TryPod t-shirts.
That is sick. We should post this. This is awesome.
We didn't know if you're triple XL or quadruple XL.
Yeah, when in doubt, get it a little bigger for me.
Yeah, so we've gotten a couple of options.
Because we've just got muscly shoulders.
Yeah, now these are sweet shirts.
Awesome.
They're really, feel the material. They're nice, like smooth material.
Quality, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're a good like fitted t-shirt. You can totally wear that out.
I'm definitely going to wear this.
It's got the TryPod logo. Yeah, so
machine washable and everything.
Yeah, they're awesome. So
how good's that?
We've got them for all the crew.
Awesome.
So yeah, mate, hope you enjoy that one.
That is epic.
And we'll post some photos of these on our page. If you're keen to get a t-shirt, we've got a few extra in the first batch.
Nice.
So, I think down the track they'll be available for sale for a reasonable price. But in the meantime,
they look good. They look good. They feel good.
Yeah, they do. Oh, mate, I'm absolutely stoked with them. So shout out to Evo.
Cheers, Evo.
Yeah, he's got connections. He was able to.
I thought you guys would give me a shit in a box, but it's a little bit better than that. So.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you see these t-shirts and you want a TryPod t-shirt, get in contact with us. We're probably going to run a couple promos and get a few out to the people.
I reckon people would love this.
I reckon they would too. It's a sweet looking shirt.
It is a good looking shirt.
Yeah, so...
You got yourself an XL. You're not that big.
No, mine's... Oh, thanks, mate. Mine's not here. This is just some of our stock we got, so you can decide exactly...
That is good. What's this one? Double XL?
Yeah, and I've got a few more in the car, so...
That is good. That is good stuff.
You can fit it out and get the fit that you need.
Yeah.
So check those out.
That's awesome.
All right, we're going to get straight into
fellas.
Matt, you're welcome. It's our pleasure. Just before we do, let's have a quick word from Ev Sanity.
Yep. Thanks, Ev.
Need to kickstart your own pre-season training? The TryPod NRL Betting Podcast is proudly sponsored by Ev Sanity, the Performance Athletic Association specialising in functional and sports-specific training. Find and follow Ev Sanity on Instagram today.
That was when he first sort of started DJing. He hasn't been doing it for very long, but man, I've listened to some of his live sets. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's come a long way. Not just listened, I think you can watch his live sets.
You can watch him too, and sometimes, for all the ladies out there, sometimes he does it shirtless, so...
Well, actually, I don't know if we should say for all the ladies out there, because, he's a taken man now.
He is a taken man now.
He's got a girlfriend, but we might talk a bit more about that at a later stage. Let's
actually,
get into
what we should, do, Evo, if you're listening out there, he needs to be doing these live DJ sets with the TryPod shirt on, really.
Yeah, he's stoked with his shirt. I think he'll be wearing it. He said he wouldn't take his off.
Yeah, they're good. Feels good. Let's jump into the round, shall we?
Yeah, mate.
Friday night for us, we got the Raiders hosting the Knights. The Raiders laying 7.5 points and a low total sitting at 38.
Yeah, and the Knights have just been plagued by injuries all season. I was on them from the very beginning. They were able to win up in Townsville. They were able to pull wins against, I think, the Warriors, teams like the Sharks.
Really good for the first few weeks, and had us believing.
They played really good footy, and I know that they've probably won twice in the last 13 weeks.
Yeah, it has.
But they really have been plagued by injury, and for me, their key player is Jared Mullen. I really think that when he's there, that's an elite backline. Other guys like Gidley, Tyrone Roberts have all been plagued by some injuries. And guess what, mate? This week, the cavalry is back.
Yep.
They've had the bye, they're freshened up. The competition is still close enough where everyone still has a fighting chance of making the 8. This is do or die.
Yep.
So I really like the Knights in this spot because I think they've got a few guys back that people they're not household names.
Yeah, you're right.
People aren't going to necessarily realise that the Knights are probably the better team on paper here. Now, I know we're down in Canberra and Canberra's going to have a chance to win, but 7.5 points is way too many points.
Too many.
I think the Knights win this game outright, so it's a really strong best bet from me. I want to take more advantage of this game if I can.
Yep. This is. I think that we've discussed this before. This is our favourite player of the round, so we'll be giving you a few on this one.
Yeah. Now I'll give you a quick caveat.
Yep.
And that is that Bo Scott's been cited for a lifting tackle on Cameron Smith last night. Just our luck, because I've already smashed this game. I've already played it hard. Bo Scott, if he pleads guilty, he'll get 1 match suspension. I'm sure he will plead guilty because he's backing up from a terrible Origin match on Wednesday. It makes sense to sit this one out and not risk further suspension. So they will be without their captain, Bo Scott. But a lot of other guys coming back into the team in the forward pack as well, with Jeremy Smith and Cade Snowden, who have both played internationals. Now, what we've done previously this season is we've played Knights over the try line. Because this is a team that can put on points. They've got finishers in their back line and they've got their playmakers back. And with a low total here...
It's so low.
Yeah, the total's 38, which seems too low because Canberra's shown...
That they can put points on the board.
Yeah, and given us no confidence that they can keep points out. So I think it's an automatic play to take the Knights over 2.5 tries here.
Definitely.
And the team total of 15.5. I probably like the try line a little bit more because the Knights score a lot of tries in the corner. They don't always convert them. And I think they can get to 14 or 16 points by scoring 3 tries. But, you know, I love over 15.5 as well. So that's 3 best bets for me. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And, as we said, Knights are getting everyone back this week. And the Raiders, they're slightly overrated now, I think. They've had a few big wins, and everyone's been, harping on about how they score the most points in the comp, blah, blah, blah. We need to remember these were the favourites for the Wooden Spoon at the start of the season. They're not a great side. And the Knights are severely underrated right now, and they're putting up the healthiest team that they have in weeks and weeks and weeks, and no one's even taking notice.
That's it.
So I think you want to jump on this straight away. I think this line goes down, and
I've seen it going down, so you can still grab 7.5, but it's gone down as low as 6.5 and even 6 in some places.
I think this closes around 6 or even less. So if you can get over a converted try and even the field goal saves you, but I'd say even sprinkle a little bit on the money line, you can probably get just under $3 at the moment.
You can.
So I'm happy with those 3 best bets. I think the Knights will come out possibly even scratch a win out here. So
I agree.
So that's 3 best bets there.
3 best bets there.
So next up on was that the Saturday or Friday? We got the Panthers hosting the Roosters. The Panthers getting 6 points and the total sitting at 39 to 40.5.
And I don't know if everyone quite realises this, but I think the Roosters might just be the deadliest team in the comp. I think they're coming off the bye. Is that right? I think they had the bye last week, and the week before they were extremely unimpressive.
Really
in
unimpressive.
Beating the Titans 20-10. I thought they'd win that game by 30 or 40. But you know what? It does say something about a team that they can play absolutely deplorably and still have a comfortable win.
That was one of the ugliest
now
games
they
of
are
the
the
season.
healthiest team in the competition right now. They do not have one injury of note at all. And the team is full of superstars and full of Origin stars. And then I'm watching the game or listening to Triple M commentary, and Joey Johns is talking about how he thinks Kane Evans is going to be in the Origin team within 2 years, and Louis has been their best player in the last few weeks. So even the guys you haven't heard of on this team are future Origin stars. It's such a loaded team, so we don't want to take on the Roosters, I don't think.
No.
But everyone knows I love the Panthers, and I think they're legit. They've played some really good footy in recent weeks, beating the Bunnies last week, only conceding 6 points there. They beat the Tigers the week before, and they only conceded 12. And of those 18 points they've conceded in the last 2 weeks, all 3 tries were off kicks. They haven't actually had their line broken for a try. They're the real deal. When I see 2 teams that I think are both legit play each other, I'm always looking to the under. And I think the total's as high as 40, which is pretty good, or
40.5 we've seen out there. So
and I'd be tempted to play that. I think it's the right side, but I'm going to suggest we even look at the try line again, just because Maloney's the kind of guy that is unlikely to miss many kicks. Soward's also a dead eye, and because it's going to be tight, there could be a few penalties taken. So I think the game could tick over 40 and still stay under the try line of 7.5 tries. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that one. I think we said this last week. Whenever we've got 2 teams that we really like, and we really do like the Roosters and the Panthers, and likewise last week with Souths. This is finals footy, and as we've seen with most of the the games during the season, and we said it last week. the Roosters aren't where they want to be on the ladder, and the Panthers are fighting to stay in the 8 here. This is a game that they both need to win. I see this as an absolute grind fest. Both have absolutely awesome defence, and now with Soward back, leading them around the park, I think he stabilises their offence. Not necessarily the flashy plays, but he just gets in there and gets the job done, goes for repeat sets. This is going to be a grinded out type game, and I see this, definitely going under the 7.5 try line. And I think that's probably a better play than the total.
And we have a higher total in Penrith, Sydney, than we do in the Raiders Knights. So it doesn't make sense, and that's
crazy.
why we're taking advantage of that. And of course, Penrith is not fully healthy. I've heard Moylan's been set back. They're now not expecting him for another 6 weeks. Seguiaro's still out, but Coruscant's been playing well at the hooker position. So we're not prepared to grab the points with Penrith because we've got a lot of respect for Sydney. They could easily win this game. The two sides played earlier in the year and we took the under there. And I think it was about a 40 total then too. And the final score was about 20-12. And honestly, I'm expecting a very similar type game.
And I think when you have Moylan, out of the team, I think he certainly detracts from the total, or at least he should.
He's worth a try every game.
He's a really good playmaker, and obviously he helps him at fullback, but I think he's with him in there, you'd be looking at a higher total than with him out. So.
So let's play the Roosters Panthers under 7.5 tries. That's the best bet.
There we go. Moving on to the Bulldogs hosting the Broncos. Bulldogs laying 5.5 points, and the total sitting at around 38.5 to 39.
I won't really say too much about this game. There's got to be a lot of uncertainty. I think something like 10 Origin players would be in line to back up for this game. I think that the line is about right. I don't have a best bet on this game, and I don't want to say too much about it because I don't know exactly who's going to line up. Should be worth a watch.
And look, I think the Bulldogs will win this game, but I think the line's sitting, right about where it should be. And I know you mentioned you played it with the look-ahead lines when it was Pick'em a few weeks ago, so I think, that's obviously value on the Dogs at that point. But now you're looking at a lot of players backing up from both sides. You don't know how they're going to recover. You don't know who Wayne Bennett's going to pick. He probably will rest a couple of guys, so... I'm happy to leave this one alone, especially after the gigantic line move that's happened between 3 weeks ago and now. So.
That's it. Maybe just one implication from last night, and I was at the game, and you get a different perspective in the stadium than on TV. Don't know what the commentators are saying, but how many of Queensland's tries were down that left edge or the right side of the New South Wales defence? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the Morris twins on that side in centre and wing. They were getting carved to pieces all night. Like, is one of them carrying an injury, I'm wondering? Because that was just ridiculous. They were through them like a hot knife through butter, mate.
And we like butter. And obviously, I think we've been speaking about the Dogs, and they really, really need this game. I think they play the Broncos twice in the next 4 or 5 weeks, and they're really going to need to step up their game because at the moment they're sitting just inside the 8. I think they might be sitting in 8th spot with a pretty average for and against, so that they're going to need to step it up over the back half of the season.
Definitely keep your eye on that.
Warriors hosting the Storm. We got the Warriors laying 5.5 points and the total sitting at 42.5.
I don't think we need to overthink this one. We said that we've finally seen the Warriors are fully healthy 2 weeks ago, and we played them against the Raiders, and they were comfortable winners. I think they won that game by 2 or 3 tries at home. When the Warriors are at home and fully healthy, they should always be the favourite to win. They are just a juggernaut at home. Sean Johnson is just electric. They've got weapons in the outside backs in guys like Cutter that have come up this year, and Conrad Hurrell, who's finally got healthy. 2 guys backing up from Origin in Lillyman and Hoffman, but neither of those guys...
Lillyman had a great game.
Had great games, but neither of them had to play 80 minutes, and they both got through the game all right, as far as I know, as opposed to the Storm, who had Cronk, Chambers, and of course Smith, who all had massive parts and all played 80. I expect them all to back up, but really, Melbourne Storm, they're missing Leroy Lars, they're missing, of course, Slater for the rest of the year. They're just not as good physically. I don't think they can match it with the Warriors, and we can find a line under a converted try. I think we just lay the points with the home team here.
This is it. This is what we've been harping on about for 17 weeks. There will be a time when we bet against the Storm, and the time is now. Obviously, missing a few of their key players. Obviously, Slater out for the rest of the season. But look, what I wanted to say is we've been talking about letdown spots, and I know this isn't a club game from Origin for Wednesday, but all those players, that's a big letdown coming off a huge Origin deciding win. Look for them to come out a little bit flat here, 5.5 in New Zealand. is just, you got to lay the 5.5 points here. So let's do that.
And when you say let down, obviously you got 3 Queenslanders who obviously are on a massive high, but that's what you mean. You can't sustain that. They would have been.
And they're all playing
the town
80
red
minutes.
last night.
Oh, definitely.
Now they've got to, get back to clubland. And sure, they'll say all the right things and they'll jump on a plane across to Auckland, but it's going to be a different matter when they play a rested New Zealand team off a bye that is just about the most physical side in the comp, and they've got Magic Johnson running rings around them. It's going to be a long day at the office for the Storm.
Plus, we never really like laying points, but when you've got a really high total like this, laying points isn't as bad.
And I've already bet -5.5, and I've just bet New Zealand to win. I really just think they win, and most likely it can be a close game. The Storm can hang tough for 60 minutes, but I think New Zealand just has too many different ways to score. They should win this game.
Just don't overthink this. The better, more healthy side at home rested up. We're taking New Zealand minus the points. Next up, we got the Sharks +1 hosting the Dragons, with the total sitting at around 38 points.
Yeah, and this line's moved a little bit from yesterday. I've seen as high on CrownBet as high as +1.5.
Oh, excellent. I
but
don't have CrownBet.
Yeah, you're obviously banned from CrownBet. And between the two of us, we've got bans from a handful of sites.
3 or 4,
and we shouldn't really name and shame.
No.
We like some better than others, but we'll talk about that another day.
Yep.
But yeah, this line's also moved as far as Sharks favoured by 1.5. So that's why you've got to shop around, because that point could come in handy. There's a good reason for that. Obviously, Merrin's definitely gone. He's staring down the barrel of a 4-game suspension. He tipped Corey Parker on his head last night. And that is a difference maker. I know that he starts on the bench, but Merrin plays over 60 minutes for the Dragons. He's their best forward. Their second best forward's Tyson Frizzell, and he's still being held out with a back injury. So I know we like the Dragons, but they're still just a bit beat up here. And we played the Sharkies last week. It wasn't their best performance. They hung tough. Obviously, Ennis wasn't there, and I know he's a grub, but he does help direct that team around. Should be an arm wrestle game. I'm leaning towards the home team. I think they've got the edge. I think they're slightly better with personnel, and I'm catching 1.5. So for me, that's the best bet, the Sharkies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, last week we saw how depleted the Dragons really are. It's not the same team that, obviously was dominating towards the start of the season. And now with Merrin out, I think that's 11 players on their injury list now for the season, so they are depleted. And any time you sort of get the Sharks are a grindhouse team, and when you've got the Dragons that are depleted, they're not going to put up many points as well. So I think, in an arm wrestle sort of game where I think the Cronulla Sharks are the slightly better team here, if we're catching 1.5 points, it's an auto play almost. So I'll make that a best bet. Sharks +1.5. Grab it while you can, because that line's coming down to pick in some places after the news that Merrin, obviously, that was a terrible tackle. Moving on to the last game of the round, we got the Titans hosting Manly. The Titans getting 7.5 points, and this total sitting about 38 to 39.5 points.
And this is going to sound like a little bit like your head, a little bit square.
But
we've got to just take Manly in this game. Manly's got all the troops back on deck. They're almost fully healthy. 1 or 2 guys that sustained season-long injuries like Jamie Buhrer, so they're not fully healthy, but they've gotten a few troops back on deck like Starling and Mateo, and Cherry Evans obviously playing well with Foran. They played well last week. I know that we don't like taking a public kind of team off a win, but I actually think they're just building momentum and there's positivity in the club. Now, let's look at the Titans. Everyone kind of knows the Titans aren't very good, but it could be a good opportunity to play the Titans here. I had a little look. In their last 4 games, they're coming off a win against the Tigers, which was a bit of a phony win on a Friday night. They beat a completely undermanned Bulldogs team, so again, looking a little bit better than they are. And they hung tough against the Roosters, but really the Roosters played down to their level.
And they covered the spread, all 3 of those times.
Exactly. So I actually think it's an opportunity to just go against the Titans here. They've got a long injury list. Greg Bird is still suspended, and they're not the same team without him. I really can't see them winning games without Aiden Caesar. Kane Elgey's out as well. We don't know how Nate Miles will pull up. But they've got just quite a few injuries across the board against a pretty healthy Manly team. Manly's going to be too good.
And Manly have showed, like last week, that they can put points on the board, obviously, to our dismay.
That's right.
But yeah, Cherry and Foran are starting to gel. They have not played a whole lot of football together this year, so I think it's starting to gel there. They're starting to put some points on the board. And, going over, what sort of try line are you finding there, or points total?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, the points, the line is 7.5 pretty consistently. I've even seen an 8. I was really searching hard to see if I could find a 6.
Yep.
If it was 6, I'd lay the 6. Then, as long as they win by a converted try, you're sweet.
Yeah.
We've got to just remember this is the. Is this a revenge spot for the Gold Coast with Cherry Evans shunning them earlier in the year? Maybe, but I mean, if they don't have the talent, they can't have much to say about it. So maybe this is where he shows them what they've missed out on.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking at is a Manly team that isn't a great goal-kicking team.
Yeah,
obviously, with Jamie Lyon, probably one of the poorer kickers in the league.
Yeah, don't forget about Corey Parker.
Yeah, right, up there with Corey Parker.
Although when we bet against the Broncos, he slots 6 from 6.
It's a different story, and Lyon will probably kick every goal in this game now. But I think we just play Manly over 3.5 tries.
Yep.
I think they've got all their backline weapons back, Brett Stewart and Tafua playing good footy.
Yep.
As I said, the halves. I like over 3.5 tries a little bit more than over 22 points.
Yep.
Because I think they could miss a goal or two. So I think we just do that.
I agree.
I think.
And sometimes when we look at these, it seems a little bit obvious, I guess. But sometimes you just need to take the
and
better
it
team.
Could be one of those games. I never like laying 7.5 points, but I probably would just bet Manly at around $1.45, or we throw it in a multi. I really find it hard to see a situation where they don't win this game. I think they're winning this game, and they should definitely score more than 3 tries. I mean, they scored that many tries, just about at the end of the Sharkies game to bury our best bet last week.
That's right.
Teams have a habit of scoring like they're the Globetrotters.
Yes, like their lives depend on it.
When we need them to stay under. But we're playing a couple teams over the try line, so let's see how we go.
Yeah, I like it. All right, that will wrap it up like Heathy doesn't.
Never does. Never.
We should. Mate.
You really should.
And really big, put your tip where your mouth is last week. We got three winners out of the 10. So
congratulations to Germ. Didn't I say he was my favourite?
Yeah, you did, and he won it. So
hey, I'll tell you right now, you might not know this, but we've got obviously Germ coming back, Dobbo coming back, and the Bareback Bandit again.
Yep.
And Dobbo, his first best bet was Queensland to win and Aiden Guerra to score a try. And Aiden Guerra scored the probably the 10th try for Queensland last night. Got in there, a couple minutes to go. So that was 6-1. So
that is big.
Dobbo is going to be hard to beat. And he's a well-deserving champion. So
yeah, he is. Good
couldn't happen
supporter
to
of the
a nicer
pod,
bloke.
So. Yeah, absolutely.
Now do you want me to I'll wrap up the best bets on Friday night, as we've said. Take the Knights plus 7.5. They're probably going to win the game.
Sprinkle a little on the money line.
Yeah, definitely. Take them over 2.5 tries. It's an electric back line. They should put on a few. Here's hoping. Take them over 15.5 for the same reason. It just seems too low, so take advantage of it. Make them pay. We've got Roosters, Panthers under 7.5 tries in that match. Should be an arm wrestle.
Yep.
We're taking the Warriors. We don't often lay points or anything else.
No.
But we're laying 5.5 points with the Warriors. We're taking the Sharkies plus 1.5. Think they're the slightly better team there, and we're taking 1.5, which could come in handy. And got the Seagulls over 3.5 tries against the Titans. That just doesn't have a lot to offer.
I really like this week's slate. 7 best bets, and it is a Thursday, and throwback Thursday to the week that we had 7 out of 7.
It does
so
have some similarities
it's got that
to
bit
week.
of a ring to it. So here's to hoping anyway.
And speaking of just a ring to it, the aftermath of the Perfect Partners last week, mate.
Yeah, it was rough.
How's things at home?
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's a slow rebuilding phase.
What did Ken's give you for your birthday?
Oh,
come on, man.
GoPro.
Come on.
GoPro.
Oh, GoPro, bro.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you can
and actually, I got the GoPro and it comes with a head strap, I tried to put it on again. It's like, it doesn't fit.
Oh, no.
No. They don't make square-shaped head things.
Did you get a selfie stick?
Yeah, I got the selfie
so
stick.
You can take a regular person selfie with the selfie stick.
Yeah.
Like it'll almost...
The head sort of doesn't fit in the frame.
Yeah,
but
true.
Yeah,
That's a
good
problem.
present. Good present.
That's a problem. All right, we said it's going to
around.
be a short pod, and that's what it was. So we've delivered 7 best bets. Hopefully a few winners there. I think that'll just about do it, guys.
That shall do it for this week. And please, as always,
Please
gamble
responsibly.